me to San Francisco. I have to tell you the story because I want a revision of airplane laws. I want anyone who's coughing to be forced to wear a mask. The Japanese are civilized. They go in a subway car. If someone coughs, they throw them off if they're not wearing a mask. My luck, I sit down. It's a 2-2 in the front of the plane. I'm in the aisle. Next to me is a guy from South America. I can hear the accent. And his wife. And a cough job. I had a 6-hour cougher. And I don't mean an occasional... I'm not talking about one of those. You know, I'm not just saying a cough. We're going to say anything about a guy clearing his throat. I am talking about... Now, I'm a germaphobe. I said, oh, God, no, I can't take it. So I started to get fidgety and paranoid, and I didn't know what to do. So I knew if I spoke to the stewardess, they'd have me taped up and taken off the plane. She'd have the air marshals take me off the plane for asking them to intervene to cover the cough job. So, okay, I have gum. I bring my own gum. Those days are over because of the ears. So I don't know what to do. I'm starting to fume inside. I said, just if I could put up with the 6 hours, I'm jumping out of the safety door. And I can't do anything about it. So I try to say, okay, be positive, Savage. I said, I tell you what, he looks like a nice guy from Brazil or something. They're usually friendly, these guys. Big guy, strapping guy. I said, excuse me, senor, you want a piece of gum? I said, for your throat. I figured maybe if he'd shoot, he would stop. I said, maybe it'll help your throat. You know, I was being subtle. Oh, thank you very much, amigo. And he chewed. So he got a little moisture in the throat. He'd stop. The minute the gum was dried up. 6 hours of this. 6 hours of germophobia. Why don't the airlines require people to wear masks? Remember the days of smokers on airplanes? I do. It was a nightmare. A nightmare. That finally came to an end. Don't the stewardesses care about coughers and fumers and snot and running noses? Of course they must. Excuse me, flight attendants, pardon me. Stewardess, what a word.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
Savage. Veto threats, negotiate with Iran, all while finding time to pray 5 times a day. And it is no wonder that people keep pointing out how the presidency has aged me. I look so old, John Boehner's already invited Netanyahu to speak at my funeral.
Real card, that Obama. He ought to replace Jimmy Fallon. That would be a good job for him. He's got the ears for the job. Jimmy Fallon, they got to get rid of the guy Jimmy Fallon and put him in there. That's all he's fit for, is a late-night comedy show. Anyway, whatever. Here we are, Earth in upheaval, worlds in collision. I'm a catastrophist. I am a catastrophist. I have found my place in time. So way back when, in the 1960s, when I was just coming up mentally, I stumbled upon Velikovsky's books, Earth in Upheaval, and suddenly a lot of things made sense to me. I was a young biology student, and when Velikovsky's books, when I found them, they were written in 1952. I found them in the 60s. He didn't believe that there was an orderly sequence of evolution. He believed that there were catastrophes where the Earth was struck by celestial bodies, which caused great catastrophes, which created the Earth and the animals, changes, whatever. And the evidence he proposed at the time was so compelling to me, such as, how do you explain whale bones in the mountains of New Hampshire? And how do you explain the skeletal remains of African animals in Michigan? This is evidence. And when I started to read it, I was a young man who believed in proof. Fact, evidence. I fell in love with the man's mind. And Immanuel Velikovsky became one of my great heroes. And so he used his books to reinterpret the events of ancient history. And when he wrote Worlds in Collision in 1950, people were stunned by it. Now, the science establishment rejected him. They called him every name under the sun. And he used comparative mythology and ancient literary sources, including the Old Testament, to present his arguments that Earth suffered catastrophic close contacts with other planets, principally Venus and Mars, in ancient times, which caused a lot of havoc on this planet. And he was known as a catastrophist. And he wasn't the first in the line of catastrophists. But Velikovsky also argued that electromagnetic effects play an important role in celestial mechanics. That sounds like big words, and you think you need to be a physicist to understand that. But these are big, big ideas, which may explain why the Earth is going through a slight warming phase right now, which is not to argue in favor of pollution or more carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. But don't get hysterical and buy into that rubbish. We all want a cleaner Earth. We all want a greener Earth. And we all want to not breathe in fumes, just as I don't want to breathe in viruses on an airplane or smoke on an airplane. I certainly have worked to save the environment all of my years in the South Pacific, collecting plants and documenting species, trying to rescue the folklore while it could still be rescued, and saving rainforests here and there. I've done it. So don't put me in the category of a cigar-smoking buffoon, because that's who I am not. But we're going back to the Earth to make it a little newsy. Earthquakes, Nepal, right? What does it have to do with anything? Well, it has a lot to do with everything. And it has to do with the fact that the world is not coming to an end. It has nothing to do with global warming. I can guarantee you that although they haven't yet done it, they're putting out position papers today, which you'll be reading over the next few days, alleging that the earthquake in Nepal is a novel event and it's related directly to global warming. Mark my words. You heard it on the Savage Nation. That's what's coming. So I do want to get into Velikovsky's theories because he was so important in my life. He was such a great genius. I must tell you how much I love this man's writing. He came from Russia, prosperous Jewish family in Belarus, Russia, and he learned several languages as a child. He was sent away to study at the Medvednikov Gymnasium in Moscow, where he performed very well in Russian and mathematics. He graduated with a gold medal in 1913. He was a prodigy. Studied medicine in Montpellier in France, which is very, very interesting to me in many ways. And took pre-med after taking pre-med at the University of Edinburgh. So anyway, he winds up in America in 1939 lecturing, and then war breaks out, and he stays in America. And he stays in New York. And he starts to write these books, which revolutionize people's thinking. And the book Worlds in Collision was such a huge bestseller. The average intelligent reader read it, and they loved it. Unfortunately for him, the science establishment rejected him. He was considered an outcast, and they're lucky that they didn't have the ability to castigate him further, but they would have. They probably would have burnt him at the stake for his books in the old days, just as they're trying to burn anyone who disagrees with global warming today at the stake. They can't do it because we live in an age where you can express ideas and present your evidence. But here's the thing that you know about Velikovsky. His ideas would today be called a creationist, have a creationist slant. Did you hear what I just said to you? And that's why he was hated by the establishment. And many of them opposed him. And, Worlds in Collision, Earth in Upheaval, phenomenal book. You got to read the evidence. You got to see what I'm talking about. And his books were very important. And what did he actually say? Planet Earth has suffered natural catastrophes on a global scale over the eons, both before mankind was here and even during mankind's appearance. And these catastrophes in the geological record and in the archaeological record exist. You can see it in the record. Now listen to what I'm saying to you. The extinction of many species on the earth, like the dinosaur, he said, occurred as a result of these catastrophes, not by gradual Darwinian means. So in other words, in that sense, he was a creationist. He believed in God, I suppose. And for that reason, he was hated by the science establishment because it turned them on their ear. Did you hear what I just said? He said that, take a look at the dinosaurs, the pterodactyls that flew around. They died off, he said, because of catastrophes, not because they gradually died off by Darwinian means. And these catastrophes are recorded in the myths, the written history, the legends of ancient cultures and civilizations. And if you read the Old Testament, and then you read the sutras of the Buddhists, and then you read the Hindu writings, and then you read the writings of the Aztecs, and then you read the writings of the Mayans, you'll find a similarity, an overlap rather, in what they are saying happened in their areas of the earth at the same exact time. You see what I'm saying to you? And it was Velikovsky who found that. And he pointed to the alleged concordances in the accounts of many cultures. And he said they referred to the same real events. I'll give you an example. The flood in the Hebrew Bible. You know about the flood, right? And Noah's Ark. Well, the same memory of a flood on the earth that was recorded in the Hebrew Bible is written in the Greek legend of Deucalion and in the Manu legend of India. You get what I'm saying? So Velikovsky said that there's a cultural amnesia in the world where these literal records came to be regarded as mere myths and legends instead of being the truth. You follow what I'm saying to you? People said, it's all bull crap. It's all a legend. But it was actually based on the truth. So what caused these natural catastrophes, which we're living through right now, by the way, natural catastrophes? In his analysis, and remember what a brilliant man he was, there were close encounters between our planet Earth and other bodies within the solar system, especially what are now known as the planets Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn. And because they moved on different orbits within human memory, they changed, they had effects on the Earth. Now, let me bring that down home right now. I recently received an email from someone who referred me to an article that our currently living Inuit population, better known as Eskimos to many folks, the Inuits claim that the Earth's axis has tilted slightly in our lifetime. It's moved slightly. The Earth has moved on its axis slightly, which I think is a known scientific fact right now. And this slight tilting of the axis has changed the hunting and the fishing up in the Arctic, as you would expect. Because if the Earth tilts slightly on its axis, even just slightly, that slight degree will expose their area to the sun's energy at a different angle, perhaps a little warmer, and it's causing a little bit of the melting. But to now race from that to this catastrophic socialist concept that man is destroying the planet, we must do this, we must do that, we have to pay a tax, is rubbish. And the minute you see Clinton's involved, along with Gore, you know it's a lie. They're going to cash in on it. I'd be surprised if Clinton wasn't on his way to Nepal right now with Hillary, to be seen walking in the rubble as they did in Haiti. Reminds me of the stories I was told when I lived in Honolulu. I asked, how did all of this land on Honolulu wind up being leasehold land owned by the 5 families that descended from the missionaries? Much of the land on Honolulu owned by the kids, the grandchildren, great-grandchildren of missionaries. So people would look at me with a cynical eye and say, well, Michael, the missionaries came here to do good, and they did very well indeed. Well, that said it all. That's Bill Clinton. Watch out for the do-gooders. They're out to do good. They wrap themselves in AIDS and the poor and in hunger and in earthquakes and volcanoes and tornadoes. And what do? They cash in the hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. Why? They come to do good, and they do very well indeed. Because man is a nice creature. We're nice people, so we fall for it. So let's go back eventually to Velikovsky. I'm having a very good time today. And we're going to talk about catastrophes in the past and the political catastrophe that we're living through right now under Barack Obama and the communist regime. Let's take a few quick calls, okay? I hope you don't mind that I'm not doing an ordinary kind of show, because I'll tell you right now, this is the first day of the rest of my political life on radio, meaning till the election. And if you think I'm going to sit here every day talking about who's running and who's falling and who's moving, and he moved up and that one moved down and he took a shirt off and O'Malley looks good and he has abs and he almost has an ab and she doesn't have an ab and he does and has a hair. Please leave me alone. I want to do other stuff. It's a talk show. Make believe you're in Cafe Savage. And when you spend this time with me, however short or long it may be each day, I'm the cafe owner. I'm a raconteur. I'm a Renaissance man. And so if I'm interested in a topic, I hope you are too. If not, as my father said in his little antique store, what did the sign say? I forgot what the sign said. I forgot already. He had a little sign, something about go away. Something like, if you don't like it, please leave, or something. I don't remember. My mind can't go from that to a joke. Can you believe how my mind is now into the science realm a little bit? And now it can't go back to the talk show joke realm?